What is going on, guys? Craig 1287 here, bringing you some more Battlefield 3 gameplay. We're going to actually get to the purpose of the gameplay. It's just going to be playing there in the background, but one of the primary discussion of this video is going to be on what kind of pretty much results from this gameplay. But first, I just wanted to mention two quick things. This came out a little while back, but it hasn't exactly been passed around too greatly. A lot of people are still confused on this, so in the link, one of the links down below, I am going to have it'll be linking you to an article from the Battlefield blog that does talk about the confirmation of the beta dates. There's 3 opportunities for you to get in on the beta when it starts on October 1st. And that's if you own Battlefield 3 Premium, if you have Battlefield 4 pre-ordered, or if you were an owner of the Medal of Honor Warfighter Limited Edition. So those 3 things, I fall into all 3 of those categories, so I will be playing the beta on October 1st. Otherwise, everybody will have access to it on October 4th. So it's only 3-day delay if you don't have any of those categories in the good zone. So not that big a deal. Honestly, I don't really know why they even did this. 3 days is pretty much nothing, and doesn't really even matter. I mean, the beta is coming out a month beforehand. It's pretty much just going to be a stress test for their servers. There's really not that much balancing in terms of weapons and map and game type. Like, nothing's really going to result from that. Most betas these days are just simply demos that are used to test out the server capacity and just kind of be a stress test on their servers, which seems weird because it's a beta. It's the small numbers. It's not a true test. Just look at any of the recent cases with something like SimCity, which also an EA title, similarly to Battlefield 4, and yeah, they kind of their servers, the launch day crashed because they all the beta testing and whatnot. That was just a hot mess. So, check that link out if you just want to see the confirmation and details on that. Nothing all that fancy going on there. And then also, in the link, I'm going to have a link to... I keep calling it the link in the description. I will have a link to the screen cap of all of the Battlefield 4 field upgrades. The way that the specs are being done rather than they were in Battlefield 3. In Battlefield 4, we've got those field upgrade sets where you pick from the originally there were the 2 universal ones, but then there was the community one that was voted upon, and sadly it was not the one that I wanted. The one that was voted upon was, I think, a little too similar to one of the recon ones that already existed, and it just didn't have things that really appealed to me. I was hoping it would be the one that had armor, and the thing is armor and sprint and something. It really fit my playstyle of wanting to constantly rush in and be real close, and having that armor on would really help in preventing those hip fire sniper shots that would kill you if you got hit in the chest, because it will reduce 10% of the upper chest shot damage. So it's and then all the 2 specific ones for each of the classes. So if you guys want to check that out, I highly encourage you to do so and just read through it. And don't just pay attention to the actual perks themselves, but pay attention to the order in which they are. Some of them, I'm not a big fan of the order that they're in. I really wish that the way DICE went about this was you picked the set, but you at least got to pick the order as to which one you start out with and which one, and then the 3 that you start to earn your way towards getting. It was really, really a bummer, because some of those, like the very first one that you start out by default, like I couldn't care less about. Some of the ones that have like that fall damage prevention one, I really... fall damage it's an annoyance, yes, but it's not that much of an annoyance that I would like for it to take up one of my 4 field upgrades. So that is kind of a bummer. But still, check it out and pay attention to the order in which you unlock those things, because that is going to be quite important in deciding which one you want. Because if it's the last one that you want to, if the last one in that set is the one that you most want, then that should play a huge factor in determining what you want to get, because a lot of the different Squads out there are not going to be paying attention to if they're the last member, and they'll get killed and have squad wipe happen, and you lose those upgrades. So definitely be paying attention to that, in addition to all the actual specific details of each individual spec or field upgrade. And so then moving on to the primary purpose of the video, and that is to talk about stacked teams and auto balance and things like that. As you've already noticed in this round, I eventually do switch to the M16A3, something that I don't do that often these days because you guys have heard me say this plenty of times before. There's tons and tons of footage out there on YouTube of people using the M16A3. It's pretty much the most used gun in the game. Well, it is the most used gun in the game, and easily the most seen on YouTube because it is so good. And I just typically these days the only time I use it is if I'm in a competitive setting in which I do want the gun that is the best, or if I go up against a lot of rank 100 people that when I see the kill cam they have just tons and tons and tons of service stars with that gun, and it's just it kind of agitates me that these high ranking people resort to using the best gun. I mean, yeah, it's you can call them tryhards, and you can just say they're just wanting to win. They want a PTFO. They really want to win and things like that. But come on, add some diversity to your game. Use some other weapons. You don't always have to use the best one. I mean, that's just my personal preference, and it agitates me. That's just how it is. And so every now and then when that happens, I will switch to the M16 to give them a taste of their own medicine. I didn't really get to it early enough in this round to really make any sort of big difference. I mean, I was already using the AUG at first, and it's still a great gun. Obviously not as good, but these guys we were just going against, they were a clan, big group of these guys, and they were just kind of destroying this team. For a second there, around halfway through the match, when we got around the 300 ticket count, we were kind of getting close. We were, 100 tickets behind, but eventually, once it got closer to the end, they just kind of destroyed us, and yeah, it was pretty brutal. And it's just one of those things a lot of people complain about in Battlefield 3. I've never really understood this, but stacked teams. I mean, you really only notice stacked teams if you see the rank or if you see the clan tags. Otherwise, you have no clue if they're really together and they're purposely trying to stack. But also, people are going to want to play together. I mean, when I'm with my TG guys, we're wanting to play together. We're on TeamSpeak. We don't want to, we don't want other players to hear what we're saying over our same TeamSpeak. And people, we get used to each other's play styles, and so it's kind of like you can read your opponents only because you actually have played with them rather than you've learned their play style from playing against them in that one round. So it's a little different. It's kind of like when you play on console and you get split screen, you're kind of screen hacking. It's kind of like that, in that you're mind hacking. You know what their mindset is and how they want to play and things like that. So it can be somewhat unfair in that regard, but you're with those people. You want to play with them, and so stacking, it's just a thing that happens. It's a team-based game, so you're gonna stack. But then auto balance and things like that, it's really tricky. I gotta give DICE props to how they handle it. And most of the servers, it's up to the server, and that's why I get puzzled when people get pissed at DICE for having bad auto balance and things like that. But it's up to the server admin as to how the auto balance is handled. Certain ones don't let you switch to the quote-unquote losing team. In a rush match, that's hard to determine who the winning team and losing team is, since you could get through all the MCOMs and then lose on the very, very last MCOM as the defenders hold it off. So that's it's aggravating, obviously. Like I said, everybody likes to play with their buddies, so when you're coming into a server, I mean, if it's a 32-player server and there's 24 people or whatever, you come in as the 25th, and then someone else joins, and then your buddy finally joins. I mean, it's going to be awkward. You're going to have an odd man out. So, I don't know, just talking about this, it just feels weird. I feel like what I'm saying is just purely, utterly common sense. But you still hear people griping about it all the time. I mean, even I gripe about it, and it's just, and then once I think about it, it seems weird. It's like, well, I mean, obviously it's math. I mean, you can't just, you can't just have it so that when you group up with a team on Battle Log, we get 4 of us together and we join a server. If it's 24 people are already in there and then 4 people come in, then you can't just have 28 v 24. And then then you've got huge issues with the teams being uneven, and then you just say, oh well, let's just switch 4 people over. Well, how do you switch? I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's a hot mess. I'm interested to see how DICE handles the auto balance and things like that, and having squads where you're part of a squad even before joining in on a server. It'll be interesting to see how DICE handles that for Battlefield 4. Hopefully they do a fantastic job like they've done with pretty much everything else. What do you guys think? What do you think would be the best system for them to use? And well, it's about time for me to go hit the hay. Very late. Got to get up early in the morning tomorrow for work. So hope you guys have enjoyed this gameplay and enjoyed the conversations. Please leave your discussions below. And let's get a nice little thriving discussion going. Have a good one. Ta-ta.